Hey friends, it's Mary Giordano and welcome to Unapologetically Wild. Every single day, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, or you can step into the possibility of something even greater. And I'm here to spark that flame within you and inspire you to show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. Messy, scared, and real. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Unapologetically Wild. Before we dive in, I just want to take a second to say, I see you. If you're someone who always puts others first, who struggles to say no, who hates letting people down, I get it. And I also know how exhausting that shit is. So fair warning, this episode might sting a little, but it's something you need to hear. And leave it to me to be the one to tell you. If you're already resonating with what I'm putting down, how's that actually working out for you? Because if you're the one who drops everything the second someone calls, says yes when you really mean hell no, and feels uncomfortable when someone is upset with you, then we need to talk, because people pleasing, it's making you absolutely miserable. And today, we are putting an end to that shit. The more you sacrifice yourself to keep everyone else happy, the more resentful, exhausted, and drained you become. And if you're being honest with yourself, which I hope you are, is that really the life you want? Because here's the gut punch I wish I had learned years ago. Most of the people you're bending over backward for wouldn't even lean for you. And I know this because I've been there. I thought that's just what a good friend did. I thought being the dependable one meant I was valuable. But over time, I started noticing something. For years, I was the yes person, the one who would drop everything if someone needed me. Someone needed help moving? I was there. Someone needed to vent? I'd listen for hours. Someone needed a favor? I'd say yes before I even thought about what I had going on. Someone needed to borrow something? Sure, take it. Keep it as long as you need. And at first, I didn't question it. I thought, that's just who I am. I'm a good friend. I'm a giver. And honestly, I liked being that person. I liked showing up for people I cared about. I liked being dependable. But then something started happening. I noticed that the energy I was pouring out wasn't always coming back. And listen, I wasn't keeping score. I wasn't expecting a perfect trade-off, but I started to realize something really important. Not everyone values relationships the way I do. Not everyone is capable of giving in the way I give. And if I'm constantly overextending myself, I'm teaching people that my time and energy are limitless. Let me say that again. If I'm constantly overextending myself, I'm teaching people that my time and energy are limitless, and they most certainly are not. And you know what? All that, it was on me. This wasn't about generosity anymore. This was about self-abandonment. And let me be totally 100% clear here. I'm not saying we should only give to get something in return. That's not what true connection's about. But I am saying we need to be intentional about who we give to. Because if you're constantly pouring into people who never pour back, that's not a friendship. That's a fucking transaction. Because when you start to pull back, set boundaries, and say no, the right people will understand, and the wrong people, well, you know, they'll get mad. And that alone tells you everything you need to know. So if you're tired of feeling drained, resentful, and stretched too thin, if you feel like you have to earn your worth through overgiving, or if you're stuck in this one-sided relationship where you're always the giver and you're ready to stop putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own, then get cozy, because this episode, it's about to change the way you show up for yourself. And by the end, you're going to walk away knowing where people-pleasing actually comes from. Spoiler alert, it's deeper than just wanting to be nice. Why saying no feels so damn hard, and exactly how to change that. How to set boundaries without feeling like an asshole, and how to reclaim your energy, your time, and your fucking sanity. Because every second you spend trying to please everyone else is a second you're not living on your own damn terms. So let's get into it. Here's the truth. People pleasing, it's not about being nice. It's about fear. Fear of rejection, fear of disappointing others, fear of being seen as selfish, fear of being left out or abandoned. A lot of us, we were raised to believe that our value comes from what we can do for others. We learned early on, if I make other people happy, I'll be accepted. If I put my needs first, I'm selfish. If I say no, people won't like me. And over time, that conditioning runs deep. Maybe you grew up in a home where keeping the peace was the unspoken rule, where don't rock the boat wasn't just advice, it was survival. Maybe love felt conditional, like something you had to earn by being helpful, agreeable, and never causing any problems. Maybe you learned early on that saying no didn't just mean disappointing someone, it meant rejection. Or maybe the whole environment was dictated by someone else's emotions, and you found yourself tiptoeing around their moods, doing whatever it took to keep things calm. Sound familiar? Well, you're not alone. So you started shrinking yourself, bending, molding, overgiving, just to feel like you were enough. And you've convinced yourself this is just who you are, but it's not. People pleasing is not your personality. It's a habit, and habits can be broken, which is exactly what we're about to do here. But first, let's go a little bit deeper, because for some people, people pleasing isn't just a habit, it's actually a trauma response. You see, most people don't wake up one day and say, I think I'll neglect my own needs today. It's something we learn, it's something we're conditioned into. And sometimes it's a survival strategy. You've probably heard of fight, flight, and freeze. We spoke about them in the last episode, but there's actually a fourth response to stress that we didn't discuss. And to be honest, it doesn't get talked about enough. It's called fawning. Fawning is when you people please your way into safety. Instead of fighting back or running away, you overgive, over-sacrifice, and mold yourself to avoid conflict. And if that was you, it makes sense, because at some point, this behavior protected you. It kept you from rocking the boat. It kept you in connection with people who may have not been emotionally safe. It made you feel accepted. But here's the problem. What used to keep you safe is now keeping you stuck. You are still choosing others over yourself, not because you want to, but because deep down, part of you believes you have to, but you don't. You teach people how to treat you, and it's time to start teaching them something different. And look, I get it. Saying no, it feels uncomfortable as hell. You worry about letting people down. You worry about seeming rude. You don't want to feel like a bad friend, a bad coworker, a bad person. So you tell yourself, fine, it's easier just to say yes. But here's the thing, easier for who? Let's be real. It's definitely not easier for you. It's draining, it's exhausting. And the more you do it, the more you lose yourself in the process, which is exactly why we need to talk about why saying yes when you mean no is destroying you. Let's break down what really happens when you keep prioritizing everyone else over yourself. Because I know what you're thinking. What's the big deal? It's just easier to say yes. But here's the real question. At what cost? Every time you say yes to something you don't actually want to do, you betray yourself. You send the message loud and clear that your needs don't matter. You drain your energy. You stretch yourself thinner and thinner and thinner, giving away time and energy you don't even have. And you reinforce the belief that other people's needs come before your own. And guess what? The more you do this, the more people expect it. And over time, that shit builds resentment. You start asking yourself, why does no one ever show up for me the way I show up for them? Why does everyone take advantage of me? Why do I feel exhausted all the frickin' time? Because you trained them to expect it. And let me be real with you. People treat you the way you allow them to. If you always say yes, they'll keep asking. If you never set boundaries, they'll keep pursuing. If you keep putting yourself last, they'll never think twice about putting you last too. And here's the kicker. Most people, they're not trying to take advantage of you. They're just responding to the rules of engagement you've set. And the only way to change that is to start saying no. Not because you're mean, not because you don't care, but because you deserve to respect yourself as much as you respect everyone else. Sit with that for a second. And I already know what you're thinking. But how do I actually start saying no without feeling like a total jerk? Because let's be real, if you've spent your entire life saying yes to keep the peace, setting boundaries is going to feel incredibly uncomfortable at first. You're going to feel the guilt. You're going to feel the urge to explain yourself. You're going to feel that little panic in your chest, like you just committed some kind of crime. But you didn't. Saying no, it's not rude. It's not selfish. It's not something you need to overthink or over-apologize for. And yet most people pleasers don't actually say no. They think they do, but in reality, they're still tiptoeing around it, which is exactly why we need to talk about how to say no without the guilt, the excuses, or the apologies. Because the only way out of this pattern is by setting boundaries. And I already know what you're thinking. But saying no makes me feel like an asshole. I just hate disappointing people. What if they get mad at me? Listen, I get it. Saying no feels absolutely impossible at first, especially if you spent your entire life being the yes person. But you need to know these three things. Number one, you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. Number two, someone being disappointed does not mean you've done something wrong. And number three, saying no does not make you a bad person. It makes you a person with self-respect. But here's where most people get tripped up. When they try to start setting boundaries, they don't actually set them because instead of giving a clear, direct no, they fall into one of these traps. First, they over-explain. They say, I really wish I could, but I have so much going on and I feel bad and maybe next time and this and that and blah, 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 blah. No, stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying. You do not need to convince someone that your no is valid. You don't owe anyone a list of reasons why you can't do something. A simple, I can't commit to that right now, but I appreciate you thinking of me is enough. Period. Then there's that unnecessary apology. I'm so sorry. I just don't think I can. I feel terrible. I hope you understand. Wait, first of all, why are you apologizing? You're apologizing for protecting your energy, for setting a boundary, for not overextending yourself again. Let me say this louder for the people in the back. You do not need to apologize for taking care of yourself. Cut it out. Stop it. End of story. And finally, they leave the door open. Ugh, I don't know, maybe, let me check my schedule, I'm not so sure. If you're already dreading it, you don't want to do it. And the second you say maybe, I don't know, the person is now waiting on you to say yes. Stop stalling, stop dodging, just say no. Because the more you practice saying no with confidence, the more you'll realize something important. You don't need an excuse. You don't need to soften the blow. And you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. So if you already know it's a no, say it. No more soft no's, no more justifications, no more apologizing for taking up space. So what do you say instead? Now that you see where people pleasers get trapped when they try to set boundaries over explaining, apologizing, or just plain leaving the door open, let's talk about what to do instead. Here's the deal, and I'm going to say this so many times, it's going to drive you crazy. You do not owe anyone an essay or a dissertation on why you can't do something. You do not need to soften the blow or over-explain your decision. You do not need to apologize for taking care of yourself. You just need to say no. And I know that sounds easier said than done in the beginning, so I'm here to make it easier for you. Here are 4 ways to say no and actually mean it. Number 1, the direct no. This is where you say something like, I can't commit to that right now, but I really appreciate you thinking of me. This works because it's polite, it's clear, and it doesn't invite any pushback. Number 2, the capacity no. This is where you say something like, I'd love to help, but I just don't have the bandwidth right now. This works because it shifts the focus away from willingness and onto capacity. You're not saying you don't want to, you're saying you just plain can't. Number 3, the values-based no. This is something like, I'm prioritizing my time and energy, so I have to pass on this. This works because it reminds both you and the other person that your priorities matter. It also makes it clear that your decision is about you. It's not about them. And number 4, the boundaries no. This is when you just come out and say, that doesn't work for me. And this works because it's short, it's direct, it's firm, there's no explaining and no opening the door for negotiation. So why do these work so well? Because they're clear, they're firm, and respectful. They don't leave room for any back and forth because they shift the focus away from guilt and onto your capacity, your priorities, and your needs. No excuses, no apologies, and no bullshit. And listen, I know this feels uncomfortable at first, but I promise you, the more you practice this, the easier it gets. Because every time you say no to something that drains you, distracts you, or takes you out of alignment, you're actually saying yes to yourself. And isn't it about damn time you do that? So what actually starts to happen when you finally stop bending over backward for everyone else and start choosing yourself? Well, here's what shifts immediately. Your energy skyrockets. You stop feeling drained 24/7 because you're no longer giving it all away. Your resentment disappears because when you stop overextending yourself, you stop feeling bitter about how others treat you. Your confidence grows. You start realizing that you are not responsible for keeping everyone else happy. And the right people will respect you, and the wrong people, well, they will just automatically fall away. Because here's the deal. The only people who get mad at your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any in the first place. Did you hear that? I'm going to repeat it. The only people who get mad at your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any in the first place. And if that's triggering, sit with it. Because at the end of the day, you are not here to be a doormat. You are not here to overextend yourself just to keep others comfortable. When you start to value your time, your energy, and your needs, the right people will rise up and respect it. The wrong people will show themselves. And that right there is valuable information. And most importantly, you reconnect with yourself, because when you spend years prioritizing everyone else's needs over your own, you start to lose sight of what you actually want, what you actually need, what you truly value. But when you start saying no, when you stop living for the approval of others, the most magical thing happens. You get to meet yourself again, the real you, the you thought you lost. And that's the biggest shift of all. So as I close this out, I want to leave you with a little bit of a challenge. I want you to say no to something this week and use one of the responses I gave you. Then pay attention. Notice how it feels. Does it make you uncomfortable, empowered, both? Sit with that. Notice who respects it and who doesn't. The people who truly value you will honor your boundaries. The ones who don't, that's something to pay attention to. Notice how much lighter you feel. Every time you choose yourself, you reclaim your energy, your time, and your self-worth. And listen, this isn't about becoming cold or shutting people out. It's about creating space for healthy, mutual, and supportive relationships. Because when you stop saying yes out of guilt, when you stop bending to keep people happy, when you stop giving more than you have just to be liked, you free yourself. And you fucking deserve that freedom. So here's what I want you to remember. You are worthy of relationships that pour into you just as much as you pour into them. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not people who drain you. And choose relationships that respect your boundaries, not ones that test them. Build connections with those who value you for who you are, not just for what you can give. And one more thing, because I know someone out there needs to hear this. Not everyone is capable of showing up in the way that you do. Not everyone has the same heart, the same emotional depth, the same capacity to give. But that doesn't mean you should shrink yourself or settle, because the more you honor yourself, the more you attract the kind of people who will honor you too. Thanks for tuning in today. If this episode hit home, subscribe and share it with a friend, because together we can bring more women into this wild, unapologetic space. Remember, waiting until you feel ready is the fastest way to nowhere. So show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. And don't forget to subscribe to my Unapologetically Wild Chronicles. The link's in the show notes. Until next time, stay wild.